Hello everyone, this is Grandmaster Var Akobian with 1000 GM. We're going to be doing the round 3 recap of the 2022 Sinquefield Cup. In this game, we have Magnus Carlsen, current world champion, playing with the white piece against the wild card, the person who got in a few days before the event because of the withdrawal of Richard Report, Grandmaster Hans Niemann, who's been on a big rise. About 2 years ago, Hans was rated below 2500, and now he's basically on the verge of crossing the 2700. His rating is 2695 at the moment when he's playing this game. So Magnus is playing with the white pieces, so he started out with d4, knight f6, c4 e6. So the intention is to play the Nimzo-Indian defense, and white can play also knight f3 to prevent that. But in this game, world champion plays knight c3. He says, I'm okay with the Nimzo-Indian defense. Bishop b4 played by black, and now he plays g3. Not queen c2, the classical variation, not e3, the Rubinstein. A more rare move. Actually, I have played this line before. When I was watching this, I realized this is actually one of my games. I had a game against very strong Cuban grandmaster Lazaro Bruzon. And in my game against Bruzon, Hans took on c3 here. Bruzon went here, and I took, and I played knight h3 with idea knight f4, and I went on to win a very good game against Bruzon. So, but in this game, after spending some time, Hans took on c3. The knight h3 line that I was showing here, guys, it's very interesting. The point is basically you put a knight here, and at some point after you castle, you're going to go for this plan f3 e4. It looks kind of ugly, but it's very concrete plan. And you just play e4, like knight here. You just say, I want to get the control of that center. So that's how I played the game, and I had a good game, and I won against 2650 Grandmaster. But in this game, Hans took, and Magnus was playing relatively fast here, castle, and now takes. And here, queen takes d4 is the first novelty of the game. Novelty is, guys, when you see a new move that never been played before. So queen takes d4 is the novelty. There were some games, I think there were only 2 games in the database that went on c takes d4. Okay, so he plays queen takes d4, knight c6, pretty quickly played by Hans, takes. And now the bigger problem here, the big problem for black is the bishop. If bishop can get out, then black position is going to be fine. So, and you can't really play b6 because that drops the knight. And the move bishop d7 is quite passive. You can play rook d1 here. White is a little bit better here. But he played the move e5. And now h6, questioning the bishop. Now rook fd1 played, a very logical move, putting pressure on the queen. And if queen moves, like for example, you play queen e7, then actually queen takes, you can play queen b5. And we got pressure on b7, some pressure on e5. Things are looking pretty good for white here. A little bit of an advantage. But here Hans plays a very strong move here. Bishop e6. He says, you can have my queen. I'm going to have your queen here. I'm going to put pressure on you here. So this is a very, very strong move because now the queen either have to go somewhere or you have to take on d8. But where do you go? If, let's say, you play queen b5, then that runs into a strong move, queen to a5, hitting the queen. If you take knight takes a5, and again, now you got a problem. The bishop is hanging. And you probably have to take, and this is going to transpose onto a similar position that we got in the game. Black is already slightly better. If you're like, you know what, this looks like a free pawn, let me grab it. Then he plays rook fc8, protecting the knight and threatening some rook ab1 ideas. And actually, after this move, the queen is simply trapped here. So this is going to be a problem here. So that didn't happen. So he played queen takes e5. So let's go back to the game. So after bishop a6, as you can see, the clock situation, so far Magnus is playing very fast. He's got 129 to Hans's 116. This is essentially the first thing for him in this game. And he decides to take on d8. Bishop takes c4, rook takes a8, rook takes a8, bishop takes f6. If you try to keep the bishop, it's just uncomfortable. First of all, you're dropping a pawn here. That's no good. There is also a knight d5 idea coming up. So this is just not going to work. Takes. And here is a critical moment here. King f1 is an okay move here. Another option is possibly just to play here, give up the pawn, and just play knight f5 and put pressure on h6. If you play h5, then this knight on d6 could get very, very dangerous at some point. So he played king f1. It seems like still this game is just going to be a draw. I mean, you don't expect a world champion to lose this. He's one of the best endgame players. Yeah, this is a little bit better for black, but it's not that much. So he played rook d1, which is a correct move. And here where things started to go a little bit wrong here for him, because in this position, black is again enjoying a slightly better position, but it's not that much. 92 is probably okay, but for example, you can play this one, bishop h3, and you're simply attacking the rook. And if you play rook c7, that's allowing me to check, and then I can even go knight d2 and put pressure. Now I have a pretty active rook in the position. And my knight can go here, knight d6 and knight d8 ideas should be able to easily equalize. So bishop e6 could be the move that he didn't like. Take. And we get into this position. I think with the accurate play, world champion is definitely holding this position. There's just not enough material here for black to win. You know, it's a little bit better, a little bit more pleasant, but should be holdable. So that being said, black played the move 92. Now bishop e6 is a good move, keeping the bishops. And now the problem is the pawns. Two weaknesses. These are double pawns too, but you can't really attack them. And the difference is these two pawns are just weak. c4. Now he's ready to give up the pawn just to get some activity. Another option that was very interesting was knight e4, king g7, knight d6, takes. And we get into some position like this. And I think it's decent drawing chances here, okay? If you get into a rook endgame in particular, pawns are a little bit weak, you should be able to hold a position like this. Perhaps rook a3 is a little bit stronger here. But yeah, white still has chances. So, okay, but he played c4, bishop c4. It was actually a very important moment here in the game. Here, he played knight takes c4, which is slightly worse. A very strong move here is f4, apparently. Very counterintuitive. The point is, if you take, you will see. Takes, rook takes, and now you have time to land the rook here on d7 and a bishop d5, attacking here and attacking on b7. So this would be a very nice counterplay for black. If you're wondering why can't he do that? Because in the game, he couldn't play this because this leads to a check. And see, you don't have the f2 square. You have to go here and then check. You can't go here. You're going to be in trouble here, winning this. And if you go king e3, knight c5, and that gives black enough time to consolidate and defend the position. Okay. So that's why this f4 is so strong here. It was giving the equalizer. Still, you know, it seems like world champion is probably going to hold this. I mean, he's, after all, extremely strong in this kind of endgames. But things started to a little bit drift here. Like here, you're down a pawn, but you have enough activity to make a draw. And for example, I really like a move like f3 here because it gives my king a nice cushion here. Then I can play g4, maybe h4 even. And you're up a pawn, but it's very hard for you to move here, you know? Like if you go here, I can even just try to take. Honestly, I don't think I'm losing this position. Yeah, you're gonna get this, we're gonna get this, but how am I gonna lose this? Yeah, you're gonna get this. Your pawns are so weak, and normally these positions, I'll put the pawn h5. I'm making a draw comfortably here. Okay, you're not gonna be able to win this, and this is what I was expecting. But Magnus plays rook a8, a6, rook b8, and now allows this. I don't know. I didn't want. I would like to fix those pawns. So now rook e8 again. Would have made a lot of sense to play the move f3 to make sure these pawns are not coming forward, okay? And if you go here, just take. Again, you're not beating Magnus Carlsen in this rook endgame, okay? You may think you have chances, but you know he has played so many rook endgames and he's just so brilliant in this. You're just not going to win this. This is just not the type of endgame you're going to win against him. So I don't know why he didn't went for this. Now e4, g4. Diagram is rook c5, bishop a2. And things started to go wrong here. Knight c5, a4. Yeah, and here is the last moment here. This is actually, you can play, the correct move here was simply to take on c4. Takes, take on f5, okay, you can go rook a4, rook b8, b5, rook b6. And actually this endgame, and now he plays h4. And now trying to fix everything. So it would have been, very, very hard to make progress in this position. Still, this would have been the best chance. But instead, he played a4, and now knight d6, rook e7, and this is just simply losing now. This was maybe not the best. Rook c2 was actually stronger. Rook c2, rook a3, and again, rook check and simply attack here. And if you play bishop b7, king f6, and king e6. So, and it's winning the piece here. But instead he played f takes g4, rook d7, e3, very strong move. Now threatening mate on c1, fe, knight e4. Again, threat is so strong on c1. And now we get to the critical part of this game. Again, there's still some really good chances to hold this position. King f6. Yeah, right here, rook takes b7, for example, would have been very good, because if knight d6, then you have the option of rook b6 pinning him. That's what I was expecting, but bishop, he didn't take it, but bishop d5, and the critical mistake was right here, rook d7. That's just a losing move here. So the only move was to go here, rook takes d5, rook e4, and here, again, there's some chances to hold here. White is pressing, but again, with the precise play, White has chances to hold this game. But rook d7 was a double question mark, and now the rest was very clear. King f5, takes, king e5, king g3, and now you're just losing because you're going to lose the a5 pawn here. And Hans played very precisely here. It looks like this might be a draw. The knight cannot move, but first he pushes the pawn. And in this position, right around here, the only thing you got to do is bring the knight into the game. He plays king e5, and Magnus resigns because he has to move the bishop, and the knight comes in, and simply he regroups. So for example, if you're wondering how you win this, I'll show you. You just bring the knight in, and you just going to put the knight here, check, and you just queen the pawn. So yeah, after king e6, world champion resigned, and yeah, king e5. It was after that he just simply resigned, and yeah, this was a fantastic win for the wild card, the 19-year-old Hans Niemann. He played very, very precisely in this game, and definitely world champion was very disappointed after the game. But well played for Hans, and this was a huge statement by winning against the world champion. So let's see how he's going to perform in the future rounds. This concludes the round 3 recap for the Sinquefield Cup, guys. Hope you enjoy this, and we'll be back with the round 4 very soon.